That's a good one. Okay, we have a question inside. Hello.
Thanks to both of you for being here. I actually wanted to ask about when Deep Space Nine was first coming on here. So, firstly, to Sir Patrick, what was it like interacting with that cast and crew when Picard goes on the station in the first episode? I guess to both of you, maybe like what was the vibe amongst the next gen cast and crew with another Star Trek coming on here?
I didn't quite understand that either.
The vibe when Deep Space Nine was starting, what was the vibe within our cast?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I remember, nothing but goodwill. I mean, really thinking it was great. We'd go over and say hi and visit. We were told that it was a different vibe of the set. We were always told that because we would make a lot of noise and have to be told to calm down. And it was a much more quiet, tense set. That's true. But I knew several of the people who were in the cast. I had known them from theater, and so it was nice to go over and say hi. We wished them well. Yeah?
Yes, that's what I recall too. You see, my feeling was, even back then, you cannot have too much Star Trek. And that applies right now up to this wonderful new group of actors who have done 2 terrific films. And because we are part of this extraordinary legacy that is Star Trek, and there has been nothing like it in the history of the world. And so I just hope that it goes on and on and on, and I don't need to be any part of it because we are part of it, and that's something that gives us, all of us, a lot of pride.
It does indeed. It's a great legacy. We all are. All of us are part of it, and it's so much bigger than any of us. That's what makes it so extraordinary to be part of. And you guys are, of course, a huge part of it. You are the other 50%. So, thank you for your support.
Absolutely.
You had mentioned that there was a little tenseness on their set. It was more formal on their set, on Deep Space Nine, in a way. And it's funny because they were the new kid on the block when you guys were there, but Voyager was the new kid on the block for Deep Space Nine.
Right.
And I remember, because the Deep Space Nine set was directly across from the old TNG and now Voyager, and then Voyager sets, and I would see Avery Brooks all the time. And I tried to make, every time I made eye contact with him, just kind of say hello, he would just look away. And he ignored me for the whole first year and a half, 2 years, and every time, same thing, nothing, look away. Until I was doing a convention in San Francisco. I was in the green room, and my parents happened to be there with me. And all of a sudden, Avery Brooks walks in, he's wearing a white suit, he's just slow motion, like a John Woo movie, doves are flying around. He walks in there, the shades on, and my parents get up, and they run to him. And I had no idea they even knew who he was. And they're like, oh, Cisco! And they go, can we take a picture? And he's like, you're Garrett's parents, okay. Oh. From that day forward, every time I saw him between set, he was like, young man, how are you today? It's like I existed then all of a sudden, you know?
Well, Garrett, if you had lent him $5 for gas, it might.
That's the key, isn't it?
Had TNG finished when Voyager started?
Oh yeah, it finished.
Yes.
I was
Well,
already
yeah, that's why I wasn't around in the early days of.
Right.
We weren't there.
Yes,
Yeah.
you weren't there anymore.
Until we did a movie, I think we came around a bit. Yeah.
Right. Oh, this is very interesting. I don't know if you know this, but I told this to Case yesterday. When I got my new shoes the first day, I thought they were new, and I realized the shoes that they'd given me, my Starfleet boots, were used. The tread was completely slick on the bottom, and everything was used. I looked on the inside, there's a name tag, and it says Brent Spiner. They gave me hand-me-down shoes from TNG. Did you guys get any hand-me-down stuff from anything before? That's just nuts.
I don't recall, but I love the idea of Brent's shoes being recycled. Oh. Does he know that?
He does not know that story. I should probably tell him
I
that.
think he does know that story.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, I think he does because talking about it one day. It's a pretty funny story.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It's good.
And I actually had a shirt that you wore too. Yes, because there was a shirt that kind of folded over and it had some like a silky kind of.
They were economizing.
Yes,
on
yes. So
I often wondered what happened.
they put it on me actually, and the thing was that when I got on Voyager, I asked them to be cognizant of. I didn't want anything being overly Asian. I wanted Ensign Kim to be Starfleet first and Asian second. So I said, please don't have Kim order kimchi or a bowl of noodles at the replicator, and be careful of anything off. If I'm wearing something that's, so they said, listen, we have an article of clothing that's kind of Asian-esque, and we want you to come in and take a look at it and see if you can approve it. And I wore that same thing that you had on. I said, by the way, this was something that Patrick Stewart wore. I said, I'll wear it. I don't care for Brent's shoes, but I will wear Patrick's shirt for sure. So that was
But
it.
I like the idea of your show recycling all our stuff.
That's great.
You know, there should be a little
Did
crazy.
anyone wear my wigs? Because there were so many of my wigs.
I think Janeway's wig might have been part of yours,
There you
actually,
go.
to be honest.
Perfect, perfect.
From ginger to ginger. So yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Questions?
Come on. This side.
There's no
Thank you both for coming. I especially thank Sir Patrick for the wonderful experience in New York this February in No Man's Land and Waiting for Godot with Sir Ian McFadden. That's a wonderful production. This question is for both of you, but unfortunately I haven't been to a production of Gates' company yet. But could you talk about the difference between theatrical acting and acting on camera?
Well, by the way, thank you for coming to see our two plays. Did you see them on different nights, or were you one of those wonderful people who saw them both on the same day?
No, I actually just saw No Man's Land.
Oh, you saw No Man's Land. Forgive me, I didn't hear. Well, thank you for coming. We love doing that play. All I ever wanted to be was a stage actor. Everything else that has happened to me has been just good fortune. And I think I now understand why. It is because for 2, 3, sometimes even longer hours on the stage, especially if you're lucky enough to have a large role. I mean, Ian and myself were never off in Waiting for Godot, and Ian was never off in No Man's Land. In fact, now I realize it, he never left the stage in either production. He was always there. I think in No Man's Land, he actually stayed on the set during the interval as well. Because you're in control of the experience. It is live. There's an audience, and everything that is happening is in a sense happening for the first time. It's not a repetition of something else. And it's in your hands what impact it has, unlike film and TV where there are so many other brilliant hands who then take control of what you've done and can shape it into something else or something better. But I continue to love the live experience. I'm still learning about acting for the camera. I watch very often American actors, and I see the technique behind what they do, and I know that I've learned something new about how to live on camera, because it's a complex business, and those who do it so magnificently well that even to this day, even in my 70s, I suspend all disbelief at times when I'm in the cinema. Okay.
I agree that there's nothing like a live performance. There's something that happens between the audience, the performer, and the spectator that's quite magical, in my opinion. It is never the same. You actually are able, when you're on stage, you feel, one feels the energy of the audience, and you can feel if it's not together even. You can feel if there's one group over here that feels differently, And you're doing it sort of together in a way, but you do have control of the rhythm and the direction, the intention of what's going on. I absolutely always wanted to be on stage. I love the theater, but I also really love directing theater, and I loved directing film. But even with directing, one of the most extraordinary things is the rehearsal process. I think I am absolutely happiest in my life, other than my family. I love the rehearsal process. I completely forget about eating or anything. It's like, what time is it? I can just go and go and go because I'm discovering all the time. You know, we try a different way. The other actor does something different. It's extraordinary. Or I can give a suggestion to actors. And actors are the most incredible beings as far as I'm concerned. Actors who are smart, who know how to do theater. They understand so much. They know history, architecture, costumes, character. Understanding character in psychology is one of the richest things you can learn about. It's who we are, it's how we live. So I feel it's a gift to be in a rehearsal with actors, whether I'm an actor acting with other people or the director. There's something that's a kind of a closed circle during rehearsals, and then all of a sudden it opens up, and it's an incredible experience actually. And they are different. And I was the actor who got in such trouble the first season because I would walk over the sandbags. They would put sandbags. I'm such a choreographer, movement person, that I was used to just doing what felt right organically, but you have to hit marks and you have to stop or you're out of the camera. But I just didn't get that in my head. So I would actually walk over my sandbags, and they were like, I've never seen anyone like it, what's wrong with her? You know? And, finally, they started hitting me with the sandbags, and then I stopped.
Thank you.
Well, I agree with everything Gates has said brilliantly. Have you ever known that experience when you don't want the rehearsal process to end, don't want to go in and start doing technicals
yes,
dress rehearsals?
Yes. And also, doesn't it happen that you can see your last performance or every last performance, you discover something that you never thought of before. And it's like a gift. You go, but oh wait, that's my last chance to discover it, and you want to do it again. I had the privilege of seeing his Merchant of Venice, and you just were so extraordinary in it. You really were. I mean, I hope something happens further with that because it's so amazing. I think it should come to New York. I really thought that was superb. Anyway.
It's not dead. The director Gould contacted me recently and said, I don't think we're done with the Merchant of Venice. This was a production of Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, which was set in Las Vegas.
It was amazing.
I had another thought about something you said as well about the rehearsal process and acting, but I've forgotten it.
Okay, let's take a question from this side, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I have a question for my father, who's a 7th grade English teacher. And he wants to know whether you, Sir Patrick Stewart, or who was it? He wanted to know who would win in an arm wrestling match between you and William Shatner.
You said your father is an English teacher? He's got a question about arm wrestling.
I think he's got money down on it.
Well, given my arthritis, given my messed up shoulders, both of them,
I'll still go with Patrick.
Put our money on Patrick. Yeah.
Actually, I've answered questions similar to this before, usually about, who would come out on top in a fist fight.
I know, it's
Kirk
like so
or
crazy.
And I would say that Picard would never have allowed the conflict to occur in the first place. Because he would have negotiated his way out of it.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. And what a lucky person you are to have an English teacher as a father.
Continuing with the Kirk versus Picard theme, as a female viewer, I couldn't help but notice that Kirk is a bit of a womanizer and Picard is definitely not. And I was curious what the decisions were in the development of the character. Was that with the character to start with, or did that come about in the course of playing him?
You'll always have Paris, Patrick.
Indeed, I will. And Michelle, too. Well, I mean, that's rather a bold question to ask when the actress who played Beverly Crusher is sitting on my left.
Okay, I'm plugging my ears. Go ahead.
But, of course, you know, there was a certain chemistry between the two characters, which was established right at the very beginning of the season. But as with many of the Picard romance stories, they had all happened in the past. As you say, we'll always have Paris, or we'll always have Risa. No, they didn't get that. And I mean, the fact is, Kirk may have been a womanizer, which has a strongly pejorative sense to it, it seems to me, and I'm not sure that Bill would necessarily agree with that. But Picard was a romantic,
Yes.
great romantic, who appreciated and respected and adored women, especially the two women closest to him, Deanna Troi and Beverly Crusher. But I did go to the writers round about season 3 and say, look guys, can we just see it happen? Instead of it having happened 30 years ago. Let's see the moment when something actually occurs. So they wrote an episode called Captain's Holiday, where indeed something did occur.
Next question, right here.
Yes, this is addressed to Sir Patrick. How did you feel when you had to play a cyborg?
Did I? Yes.
I'm sorry.
Or
Did you deal with claustrophobia or any of that, or how did you feel characterized and stuff like that?
It was uncomfortable. All that stuff, you know, stuck into my skin. That stuff, for one scene anyway. I was very interested in playing Locutus, because you had to think, well, okay, he's been absorbed, but yet he's still Picard. So what remnants of Picard would be in this cyborg? And I found that very interesting. You have any thoughts on that case?
Not particularly.
Did you ever meet me when I was Locutus and Borg? You were in that scene when I was in the thing with the
Yes.
things across like
Well,
that.
I did sort of help you through your recovery.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you owe me something there, but
$5, yeah.